4th of October, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos, Yom Kippur prayers.
Okay, very good. Okay, good morning. Again, thank you, Lou. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, Yeshiva Samanashi, here in Yerushalayim, care of Zoom. Erev Yom Kippur, Shana Tavshin, Hey Gimel, Motzi Shviz. We're learning Tefillah Zaka, trying to understand a little bit of the insights that this tremendous prayer has been developed to give us when are standing on the threshold of going into Yom Kippur. Okay, Mitzvah Shem, let's see, where did we leave off? We left off by, we were discussing about the eyes, if I'm not mistaken, right?
We just did the sentence, the pasuk, I guess, that says, "He created eyes in me in which I can see," and it's written in the Torah that I should sanctify them through seeing holiness, and you cautioned me in your Torah, and then that was where we left off. V'lo sasuru acharei levavechem v'acharei einechem. It says in the Torah, do not follow, or my English says explore, after your heart and after your eyes. So that's from the Shema. Oy li ki halachti acharei einei v'ti mesi osan lehistakel b'nashim u'bechol divar tum'ah. Woe to me, for I have gone after my eyes, and I have made tamei. I have made them tamei by staring at women and at all things that are tamei.
Right. So this kind of see what's. Let me ask you a personal question. How do you relate to this concept of tuma?
I have a lot of difficulty kind of conceptualizing it. It's so nebulous. Mm-hmm. You wake up in the morning and you have tuma on your hands. I guess I remember when I first was getting makareved and I learned about this concept. I came up with I didn't like the translation pure and impure. It doesn't really mean anything to me. I came up with a concept of distanced from Hashem. That when a person becomes tahor, he becomes close to Hashem. When he becomes tamei, he becomes far from Hashem. And that seemed to fit a lot of scenarios that if I do something wrong, like looking at women, I'm putting a distance between me and Hashem. If I discipline myself and to stop myself from looking, then I'm bringing myself closer to Hashem. That's kind of the way I rationalize the concepts.
Yeah, I like that very much. It fits in very well because excuse me, excuse me, the concept of kedusha, which is like the opposite of tuma, kedusha. Kedusha means in many ways something which is set aside, something which is holy, something which is holy means it's sanctified. Meaning, what's sanctified? Sanctified means it has a specific, very special, unique essence and purpose, right? So something which is kadosh is set aside for something which is very special, very holy. It's sanctified for a specific, very lofty, exalted type of a usage, and the opposite, the tuma, something which is something which is mundane to the greatest degree possible, depending on what levels of tuma there are. So something which is sanctified and something which is mundane. Mundane is something which is absolutely unspecified and unique. I mean, even though things that are mundane, like you have a spoon's mundane, but it has a certain purpose, right? But you have the concept of the uniqueness for the thing that it should exist as something which is set aside, sanctified for a very specific purpose, because sometimes it itself is, in essence, holy. It's itself kadosh, or it's used in something to do something which is in essence something which is sanctified kadosh. And in the same way, the mundane, this concept of mundane. So in the same concept that you're explaining it, that there's the tuma is a distancing from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. In that same way, something which is mundane, is also distanced from those things which are holy, which are sanctified, which are used and in their essence, perhaps also something which is in essence holy.
So would you say a spoon is a source of tuma?
No, so it doesn't have to be a source of tuma. No, there are things. If you look at those things which are in essence tame, like the highest degree of tuma is a mace, a
Right.
dead body. Now, and if you want, you could in a certain way of expressing it, you could say that it's mundane to the highest degree possible, right? And previous to that, it was something which was sanctified. A human body, right? It has a neshama in it. It has intelligence in it, and there are all the other human qualities that are contained in the human body. And when the holy aspect of the person leaves the body now returns to a state of mundaneness, and now, because of the great kedusha that there was there earlier, it now reverts not simply to something being simply mundane, meaning a spoon is mundane, but it's not necessarily tameh. But because of the great kedusha, the holiness that the human body had originally, so now when that holiness leaves it, it drops to a level of lower than simply being mundane. It drops to a level of being tameh, right? You have other things.
I would say, in line with that whole philosophical understanding that I worked on, as I said years ago, that what's going on with the mace is that it was at this very high level of, now I would have said tahora, but you've introduced something interesting, the idea that the opposite of tameh is kadosh. So then I would say kadosh, to be kadosh is to be close to Hashem. That makes a lot of sense to me. So here's this body, this piece of meat that was animated, and it was thereby close to Hashem, or closer to Hashem than it is now. Now it's very far from Hashem. It's just a piece of meat. So when we are in contact with that, when we see that, we become aware of, the shortfall, the tremendous lacking here, that there was this great kedusha, this great closest to Hashem, and now it's gone. And that makes us feel bad. That feel bad is the tuma. It distances us from Hashem because we feel that lack. We feel that that waste of what could be, what was.
Oh, exactly. These potential. There was so much potential in a live human body. There's so much potential of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu and doing good. And now when the neshama leaves and it's now inanimate, the body is now an inanimate, like you say, a piece of meat. So all those potentials are left.
Right. So that actually helps a little bit, that idea of kedusha, because I've always had a lot of trouble with the word kedusha. What does it mean? We use it all the time. This is holy, that's holy. What does it mean? It's holy. So I have to think through now the idea that, well, it means that it's closer. It's a source of closeness to Hashem, to be in contact with that thing. Like when you're in contact with the corpse, you're removed from Hashem because you become aware of the waste. So maybe it's the opposite, that you become aware of the potential of the holiness of the thing, the idea of the closeness to Hashem that thing can evoke in you, maybe.
Oh, right. So that also we can understand a little bit. There's something I'm sure we say Shabbos is Kodesh. Yom Kippur is Kodesh Kadoshim. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the year. Of all the days of the year, this is the holy. We're hours away from entering the holiest day of the year, and that's we can achieve the closest approach to Kadosh Baruch Hu as humanly possible. That's represented symbolically by the mitzvah of the Kohen Gadol going into Kodesh Kadoshim.
Right.
It's not only it's a physical mitzvah. It's a mitzvah in the Torah. It's physically the mitzvah that we have to do. The Kohen Gadol has to do it on behalf of Klal Yisrael. But it's also symbolic of the tremendous closeness and holiness that this day has with it.
Right. So now what I have to try and do is incorporate this new meaning. Because I had learned, well, what kedusha means is it's the same root as the word for separate.
That's true. That's also true. That stays in place. That can stay in place as well. That's true.
Right, but it means separate, special, set aside, and now I have to add to that close to Hashem, or inspiring closeness to Hashem. It's also part of the definition.
Right. That's right. Very good. Right. Very good.
Yeah. So I have to think about that a little bit.
Right. Okay. Very good. Okay. Let's go. Good. Let's continue on.
All right. So Barasa V Aznaim Lishmoa Divrei Kedusha B'divrei Torah. So you created in me ears for hearing words of holiness and words of Torah. So I would have thought we would say words of Torah, which are words of holiness. This is, there's an and in there I'm wondering about.
Right, there are two things, right? Aznaim, for us to be Aznaim Lishmoa Divrei Kedusha, Divrei Torah. So I'm just thinking that maybe Divrei Kedusha would be including all those things which are proper to be heard within the context of mitzvahs. And then there's Divrei Torah.
Right.
And I think that,
But mitzvahs are in the Torah. You're saying if I'm talking about I visit an elderly man.
Right.
So if I'm talking to my wife and I'm saying, don't forget, I'm going to visit Joseph at 12 o'clock. So that's words of Kedusha.
So if it's included in a mitzvah, if there are words of mitzvah, there's a big discussion, right? On Shabbos, we really were supposed to be careful about what we talked about on Shabbos, right?
Right.
And also in the sukkah, maybe we'll have a chance when we learn halachas of the sukkah, we'll have a chance to look at the Mishnah Berurah about that also. We're really supposed to be careful about what you talk about in the sukkah because of the high kedusha level of the sukkah. The sukkah is a special. It's like a capsule of kedusha. This concept of kedusha we'll be able to, I think, apply going in through sukkahs as well. B'ezras Hashem. So there's a question on Shabbos specifically that you're not supposed to speak about. Of course, you're not supposed to speak about things which you can't do on Shabbos. You can't light fires on Shabbos. So you're not supposed to talk about lighting fire on Shabbos and all the other malachas as well. And you're not supposed to speak about your mundane affairs on Shabbos, even if it might be something you could intentionally do. Conceivably do on Shabbos, but yes, if it's a mundane activity, you shouldn't talk about it because of the high level of Shabbos itself. And so the question is that let's say you need to cheer a person up. You need to cheer a person. To reach this person, it'll help to simply have wide-ranging, general, non-Torah discussions, right? He'll talk about the weather, talk about the sports, talk about whatever, the stocks, whatever. Not that if you're doing business with the stocks, that's something else. But if you're just saying, it's good the economy is going this way, it's bad that it's going that way. Just these conversations that people they pretend they're the president of the United States or the secretary of the United Nations or something like that. Have these big, economic and political conversations, right?
Right.
So, but no one's really going to ask them their opinion about these things at all. But everyone likes to, in some way or another, express their opinion. So, so there's a big discussion whether it's permissible to do this, because since it's in the need of the person, let's say he needs to cheer him up, he needs to be distracted, right? And it's not going to be, he's not on the level where you can do these things in terms of a Torah discussion, right? So is it permissible to talk about these things? So there's discussion in the halacha literature about whether or not permissible or not. So, so sometimes even what might be considered to be, if you look at it just in terms of the basic superficial words that are being said, it looks like it's a completely mundane discussion, right? But if you look at the purpose to which this discussion is applied, it could be applied for a mitzvah, right? Right. So if you want to makar of somebody, you can't start talking to them about all things at once. You have to try and just get them to be free. You want to just be friendly with the person, get to know the person, right? So many times that'll just simply involve plain old mundane discussions. But since if it's in the context of trying to do something positive in terms of a mitzvah, so it also is elevated to what we would call here divrei kedusha, right? Divrei kedusha. So it could be all those things that are in the realm of what we could in fact hear with our ears, or again conversely speak with our mouths.
Right. Okay. Oili ki ti mesi osan bishmoa divrei nivala vilashon hara v'chol divarim asurim oi le'aznaim shekach shom os. Oy, oy, oy. Woe to me, for I have made tameh. I have made them tameh by listening to words of obscenity. Nivala is obscenity. And to lashon hara, and to all talk that is forbidden. For oi, woe to the ears that thus do they hear. What are the ears that hear this? Oh, it's interesting. I was thinking with the previous sentence, and it was confirmed to this sentence, that these seems to be things more that I would say refer to speaking. I mean, it's bad to hear lashon hara, but it's worse to speak it.
Correct. That's true.
Obscenity, it's worse to speak obscenity than to hear it.
Right.
If I'm in a secular environment and I hear obscenity, so I mean it's not nice, but it's not such a terrible thing. I just I didn't do it on purpose. I just heard that. But if I say it, that's much worse.
That's true. That's true. I think there'll be a section about the mouth as well. That'll bear this out. Maybe we can contrast the expressions that are used about what the mouth speaks. I think we'll have to try. Where is that?
Right.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, if you go into a secular environment, it's unfortunately very rampant, the nivul peh. I've had to tell some people that I have somewhat of a semi regular contact with them, that they have to try and work on controlling their foul language.
Yeah, I remember I had a coworker, and one time we were talking, and he used foul language, and I don't know if I had an expression on my face or what made him realize. He said, "Oh, yeah, you don't like that, do you?" And I said, "No, I don't."
Yeah.
He didn't even hop that there was anything wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if I think I mentioned it once or twice. I have to dig it up, and if I can dig it up somewhere again and send it to you, show it to you, that George Washington, that he sent a letter to the Continental Army, an open letter. He was the general of the Continental Army at the time. He sent an open letter from the general of the Continental Army that he was he deplores the usage of the foul language, especially by the officers, because the enlisted troops learn to emulate the talk of the officers, and so he was bemoaning the sad situation that it was rampant, the foul language in the camp, and he was very concerned that if such foul language is found in the camp of the Continental Army, he finds it difficult that a Kadosh Baruch Hu can favor them and give them victories.
It sounds familiar. I think maybe I've seen that letter.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's not. I don't know if it's. Unfortunately, it's not his most famous letter. It should be, though.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We have more
All
time. Barasa B peh. Oh, there's the mouth. Vilashon V'shinaim V'cheich.
That's the palate, I think.
Right. The garon V'nasan bahem koach l'daber bahem chamisha motzaos haosios hakidoshos shel aleph base asher bahen biratsa shamayim va'aretz umulo am uvahem ar aragta torascha hakidosha. So you created in me a mouth and a tongue and teeth and a palate and a throat, and placed within them strength to speak.
Yeah, well, here, like Koach is, you're right, it's strength, but here I think it more. I mean the power, the ability.
Right. The power to speak through them. Five types.
Yeah, these Chameshis Motzei Haoisios Hakadoshus Shel Avos base. These are 5. I'm not sure exactly. Did they you have an English translation? How did they give any explanation of this?
They just say they say sources.
Okay.
And then in parentheses they say of sound types, of holy letters of the aleph base.
Right.
But I don't get what that means. There's more than 5 letters. 5 sources of sound types of letters. There's only 5. Maybe they're saying that there's 5 different sounds that make up the different letter sounds.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, because if I thought it might be the vowels, like you have a comment o and a patach a and a tzeri a and a chirik e and an and an o. So that's really 6 sounds, right? That's really 6 sounds.
Yeah.
Ho, a, e, and oi. That's 6 sounds. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this is referring to. Okay, let's just take it for granted that okay, well, we'll have to, one time or another, I'd have to try and find out about this.
I remember reading one time that there is a language of linguistics, which is sounds.
Right. It could. If there are the letters of the aleph base are broken up into, like, there are gutturals. I forgot. There are different types of sounds in the general categories. there might be these 5 general categories of sounds that comprise the letters.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it's referring to.
Yeah, I remember reading that there was a linguist who was really good. He had this ability to write using the 5 different, or not 5, using the alphabet of sounds.
Interesting.
That he had a symbol for each sound.
Right.
And there aren't that many of them, and that no matter what language a person was speaking, no matter what their accent was, he could, if they dictated to him, even if he didn't understand it, he could write it in this alphabet, and then he could repeat it back exactly as the person said it.
Very nice. Okay, that could be what it's referring to.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so and from these letters, you created the heaven and the earth and their fullness. Uvehem aragta torascha hakadosha, and with them it says you wove, aragta, you wove your Torah, your holy Torah.
Hakadosh, right.
So you created in me a mouth and all the different parts to which I could speak using the same letters and words that Hashem used to create the universe, and which Hashem used to weave the Torah. Uve koach hadibur hiv dalta es haadam min habehema va'afilu chabehema lo hayisi ki ti mesi fi b'divrei nivala bilashon hara. Okay, it's getting a little long. Let's translate. Let's see. Through the power of speech, you differentiated man from animal, and even like an animal, I have not been like an animal, because I have contaminated my mouth with words of obscenity and lashon hara and lies. Leitzanus, rechilus, machloches, malbin penei chavero, mikalel es chavero, miskabed biklon chavero, divrei masa umatan b'shabas v'yom tov b'shvuos unidarim. So I've contaminated my mouth with obscenity and gossip and lies and mockery and talebearing and strife and shaming one's fellow and cursing one's fellow. and glorifying oneself through embarrassing his friend and speaking business dealings on Shabbos and Yom Tov and swearing vows.
Oh, okay. So at this point, that comes to the end of the discussion of the mouth. Now, in terms of the point that you made earlier, the difference between hearing and the difference between speaking.
Right. It mentions
So
Lashon Hara in both lists.
Yeah, Lashon Hara is in both lists, right? And I mean, really, you could probably apply. You could in most of these things you could apply. You know, like listening to conversations which are not proper on Shabbos is also something which you shouldn't be doing as well. But the central difference between the hearing and the speaking is this line here. It said here at the very beginning, through the power of speech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has separated a person from the animal, right?
Right.
And he says here, even as a behemoth, I haven't even been, right? And he goes on. So this particular phrase, these phrases were not included in the section on the hearing. Because why? Because an animal, again, they hear. I imagine they hear exactly what we hear. Also, if someone's going to say Lashon Hara in front of an animal, the animal's also hearing Lashon Hara, right?
Right.
And it's going to be nibble pad, it's going to be obscenities. The animal also hears the obscenities, right? But the animal and the person in that way, they're somewhat equal. And the difference is that we have the power to use our mouth in a much higher, elevated way. We simply don't make noises the way the animals make noises. That whatever they use, the noises they make to communicate, whatever minimal communication they have, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given them that. But basically, they use all their power of communication to do just that, to communicate the things, whatever they have to communicate. But we, unfortunately, can even slip, as it says here, below the level of the behemoth if we're not going to use our speech to the use of it, which because our power of speech has been given us to use for more simply than simple communication. It should have been used for elevation and bringing positive things into the world. It's interesting also, another point here, it didn't mention anything about using the mouth for speaking. Well, actually, no, it says, no, I'm sorry, I forgot. No, I'll take that back. So that's a significant difference between hearing and speaking.
Is that I'm not like I'm worse than an animal?
Yeah, because the animal, they have a power to communicate, whatever animals they may be. They have whatever, the birds are chirping. I guess they're communicating in something. So they're simply communicating what they have to communicate, whatever. And but we, unfortunately, if we're not going to use our power of speech in positive, productive ways, then we're going to fall lower to the status of a behemoth.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay, I get it.
Okay, let's continue on.
Okay. Berasa bi yadayim v'chush ha-mishush la'asok bahen b'mitzvos v'ani temei si osam b'mishmurin shel isur lahakos be'egrof resha uleharim yad lehakos uletaltel b'divarim hamuktzim sim bishabas v'yom tov. Okay, so you created in me hands and the sense of touch to engage, la'asok. We say la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Right, to be involved with.
Right, to be involved, but there's an implication of, heavy involvement.
Yes, definitely, yeah. Intensively involved, correct.
Through them, with mitzvahs, to be immersed in mitzvahs through the power of touch. But I have made them tame with touching things that are forbidden, by striking with a fist, a wicked fist, and raising a hand to strike, and moving things that are muksa on Shabbos and Yom Tov. So I could be using them to do mitzvahs, but instead I'm touching forbidden things.
Yeah, meaning right, the hands that we've been given for us. I mean, you should know this. The Swarms speak about that. It's not by chance that we have 5 fingers on one hand and 5 fingers on another hand, and they correspond to the Seres Dibros. There's a correspondence to the 10 commandments. That we can't go into that now. I don't understand very much of it at all, but there is a strong correspondence from the fact that we have 10 fingers and 5 on one hand and 5 on the other, and there are 10 commandments and 5 on one luach and 5 on the other luach. But
Interesting. So never heard that.
Yeah. I've just heard about it. I haven't explored it, and I haven't learned much about it at all. But there is something there. So the hands with their fingers are representative of the commandments that the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to fulfill. And when we have the opportunity to use our hands for the purpose of mitzvah, so that's a tremendous opportunity to put their powers into effect. And if we use it for other things, so that's also going to be what we call a tummy. We're matami them, meaning tummy them, and with the context we can use it in this world, like that they're being misused, right? They're being misused.
So I don't really relate to these things. Touching forbidden things, that we're talking about sexual organs.
That definitely is included. Correct, right? That's definitely included.
Striking with a wicked fist. What's that referring to?
Well, let's say a person that got into a fight with somebody, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't intend that our hands be used for such purposes, right?
I think that's pretty uncommon. Not so many people fight.
You're right. But okay. You could even go back to when we were children. If you ever notice the grandchildren, sometimes with their friends, sometimes between themselves, they'll even bite each other and scratch each other and all these kind of things.
Yeah, I had fights when I was a kid.
Yeah, but slowly and surely we realize that that's not proper behavior, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't even know how old I was when the last time I had a fight, but I was definitely a child.
Yeah.
So, not in before in college for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Like
So,
the muksa I understand.
right. So I
Um,
mean, they have to think of possible things. I mean, sometimes it could be like certain, like there's a discussion on Shabbos about whether you can fold your tallis or not, right? So there's some that are machmir not to fold the tallis on the creases, right? So
right.
a person does that. So he's using his hands to do something on proper. Also, anything that any of the malachas, like he's doing boirer, he's doing um, any other types of malachas which are also on Shabbos. A lot of those things involve the hand use of the hands.
Now, what is this raising it? Sorry, raising a hand to strike. It just said striking with a fist of wickedness.
Right.
Right.
That's actually striking. But even just to raise your hand to strike somebody is forbidden. If I think it's in Shmos. Do you have a Chumash Shmos with Rashi nearby?
Yes.
Let me see if I can find it. Uh, mm, one second. One second. Um, oh, hold on a second. Oh, very good, very good. It's in the second chapter, Parak Beis, Pasuk Yud Gimel.
Okay, let's see. I'll just read the English. He went out the next day, and behold, two Hebrew men were striving. He said to the wicked one, "Why would you strike your fellow?" So this is future tense, right?
Right.
Let's see. Vayomer l'rasha lama seikeh re'echa. So say something sakeh is like makeh.
Right.
It's a future tense.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, take a look at Rashi here.
Okay, so Rashi on 13. Two Hebrew men, they were Dathan and Abiram. They were the ones who left over some of the manna. Striving, it means quarreling. Oh, here, why would you strike? Even though he has not hit him, he's called wicked one through the mere raising of the arm with the intent to hit. And the footnote says, since the verse does not say, why have you hit in the past tense, but uses the future tense, it indicates that one can be considered wicked even if he has not actually hit yet, according to Sanhedrin 58b.
Right.
Okay. All right. So so raising your hand is in itself an avera.
Right. It's a wicked act. Simply raising one's hand to hit, that's in itself, it's a wicked act. Right.
Okay. So the next one is re'echa, rasha kemosecha. He's wicked like you. So the footnote says, The word ra denotes one who has something in common with another, often the bond of friendship. Here, where one of the men was about to hit the other, the Torah could not be referring to their friendship. The word must be alluding to something else the two had in common. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So by calling him the wicked one, he's imprecating both of them.
That's correct. That's right. Was Rabbi Levitt going to be speaking today?
Yes, you're right. Time is up.
Okay, good. I don't want to cut into his time. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is very good, Rabbi. It's very helpful.
Okay. Fine. Thank you very much, Lou, for everything all the time, and hopefully we'll get to see you the day after tomorrow, Mr. Shem.
Mitzvah Hashem, Gemar Chasima Tova. Have an easy.
You and the family should get a lot of simcha and joy from all the members of your family, and we should also be able to give joy and simcha to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with everything we do and say and think.
Amen, and the same should go for you.
Amen. Shukran. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Be well. Thank you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.